Find a job you enjoy doing, and you will never work a day in your life. I find that to be an inspirational quote, for a job is something that we invest a lot of our time and life into. The quote is a reminder of the importance of fulfillment, as well as the positive impact that enjoying our work can bring to our lives. I would argue that the key word in Twain's quote there is enjoy. To enjoy your work, to be motivated by it, to see each day as a Saturday to look forward to. Studies have shown that enjoying your job can bring great benefits to your life, from improvements in your confidence and energy to your health and relationships. Negative impacts of those very same factors can occur when you don't enjoy your work. According to the Huffington Post, in 2014, between 20 and 40% of people in the USA were miserable with their job. And this affected both their mental and physical health. So just maybe, perhaps it's better to enjoy your job than not. Mark Twain seems to say this, specifically in the context of a job. But I would like to take it further. There's another important period of time dedication in our lives. Our first 16 to 18 years is a significant time of learning and growth for us, where we develop our relationship with education, with our interaction, with ourselves, and not least, with our work and our work ethic. How we experience that period in our lives will, due to our age at the time, have lifelong effects into our adulthood, staying a part of us as we grow into that time where we are looking to find that job that Twain speaks about. I am, of course, talking about the years in which we spend at school. School is not just a time where we learn, but it is a time where we learn how to learn, and the importance of it. Depression, lack of confidence, lack of ambition, lack of energy, getting into trouble, going to prison, are all cases. There are many cases in these that can be related and linked back to the experience that you had at school. But it's an important experience in our lives. School can be a very hard place for those of us who have any struggle with learning, be it dyslexia, be it autism, ADHD, or something else. For in the UK, it's reported that between 43 and 57% of prisoners are likely to have some form of dyslexia. Furthermore, school has long been represented in pop culture as a dull place of mandatory tasks and boredom, and the weekend celebrated as a time of blissful freedom from it all. Homework in particular has been seen as a symbol of loathing for many of us, myself included. It rudely interrupts and disrupts that brief period of weekly respite. Surely the important positives we can get from enjoying our job and the negatives that can come if we don't are surely just as valid in our school system. Only in school, they happen to us at a time when they're more influential to our growth. When I was growing up, entertainment was important. A lot of the enjoyment in life came from things that I could do after school or on the weekends, that I could only do in those times. A lot of the enjoyment of life came to me in the form of reading comic books, or watching TV, or playing computer games. These things were easy and highly satisfying to engage with. But school equaled boring, maths equaled boring, and all academic subjects that involved some kind of academia, so all kind of academic subjects that required some kind of reading or listening or ability to concentrate very well in class, all of those were boring and difficult to me. Learning was a boring word based on what I associated with it. Imagine learning being a boring word. Imagine having such a negative relationship with the very concept of learning, because that is what I had when I was growing up. But what if it wasn't learning's fault? What if maths, English, history, and all those subjects were never what was actually disengaging me with school and homework? What if instead of the school subjects, because these things I take great interest in now that I've left the school system behind me, what if instead of the school subjects it was the school worksheets, the textbooks, the writing sentences off a board, the classroom lectures that were the boring things, the dull things, the difficult things? Nobody ever gives us a choice in how we learn. Nobody gives us a choice in the way we do it. We're just expected to excel at it. We're expected to do well, or at the very least, get by. And somehow we're expected to motivate ourselves to do so. You know, not even considering the impact it can have on some of us who are less suited to that particular system or way of doing things. With entertainment, it's different. With entertainment, we are given it in our TV shows, our radio, on our computers, as a choice. And if it successfully entertains us, then we lap it up. In other words, we enjoy it. Is there any resistance to exercise when we are enjoying a game of football with our mates? Is there any acknowledgement of learning how to play a computer game when we are enjoying the gameplay? Even if there is work involved, or something might be perceived as work if we singled it out, it doesn't feel like work if we are enjoying it. It doesn't feel like work if we're having fun while we're doing it and engaged with it and invested in our time in it. This is where the strength of Mark Twain's quote comes in, and where we can acknowledge the power of entertainment in the context of work. To me, to be entertained is to be engaged through enjoyment, you know. And to be entertained is important in order to motivate ourselves to do well at our work. And furthermore, we look for something like that in our jobs. We want something like that for ourselves when we're looking for the right job. Why should we want anything less when it comes to our school system? Think about the benefits it can bring. Think about what it can do for that person you know, those people you know, that community, our communities, our culture. If school was so genuinely fun and satisfying that it almost felt like a weekend in itself, it could certainly improve school results, to say the least. For example, in our country, we still have over 20% of pupils failing their exams each year. In Finland, there is no such problem. Their margins are only around 4%, and their pupils tend to be a lot happier and motivated in school. Only by the country's simple efforts to shorten school hours, to allow for more playtime, and to give less homework. All that's doing is answering the pupils' basic enjoyment needs of their day-to-day life. And in return, it helps fuel and motivate and energize them in producing more quality work. If it's true for our jobs, why would it not be true for school? And at school, it's a much more significant time for it. So, if I could tweak Twain's quote, if I could tweak Twain's quote in any way, it would be to generalize its most important message to more than just a job. I would tweak it to enjoy the work you do, and you will never work a day in your life. Not just find a job, but enjoy the work you do, and you will never work a day in your life. Whether it's your job, or whether it's a school subject, or whether it's anything else, it's the work you do within it, and how you do that work, that is fundamental to the enjoyment of it, and ultimately, the quality of the work you produce. With that, I want to tell you a little story of how this relates to myself. When I was at school, I was a struggler. I had a very negative relationship with schoolwork. I found it really difficult anything to do with reading, writing, and listening, I found a very difficult task. And it turned out later on that I was diagnosed with a form of dyslexia that made absorbing information from words in particular very difficult. But this made me not want to come into school. It made me feel stupid because I was doing bad at the thing that school dictated you were intelligent at, whether you were good or bad at it. I was not wanting to come into school. Basically, I had quite an unhappy time with it. I was known as stupid by my peers. And there was nothing in this for me. You know, I was good at art, I was good at drama, but school didn't see these subjects as intelligent. And since so much of the work was given to me in worksheets, textbooks, and school lessons and such, if you weren't a natural good reader or writer or listener, then there wasn't much in school for you. And what was worse is that when I got to secondary school, I really tried. I was trying my hardest. I really pulled out all the stops to try and get better results in my exams and tests and achieve better in my school results. I didn't like being known as this. Even my own friends referred to me as someone of lesser intelligence. And if you've got any sense of pride, that will always sting a little, I believe. So I put in the effort. My parents in school were very supportive, but nothing was ever enough. And I kept on getting bad grades. If I was really lucky, I could scrape a B, but generally it was fails or low grades. And so eventually when it got to my final year exams, I was fed up of going through that, quite frankly, that trauma, because I could bring myself to tears with this sometimes. I was fed up of going through all that hard work and trauma just so I could get a bad grade. So I thought of a rebellious thought to myself. If I'm going to fail anyway, I might as well enjoy it. And that to me was a very powerful thing, because it basically said, I'm not going to focus on my results. I'm not going to focus on how well I can achieve as well as the other people. So I'm going to focus on, can I actually enjoy this? Can I just enjoy the revision period and study period for a change? So I'd always loved making comics and reading comics in my life. I loved reading Beano and Dandy. I'd always loved stories. And that was always a joy for me. So I thought, what the heck? I'll turn my modern studies exam, my wordiest exam that I had, I'll turn my notes for that, just my revision notes, into comic strips. And I would tell a story through it. I would tell characters through it. I would put a lot of humor into it. And just had fun with it. Just took the same approach as if I was making a comic for myself or for my friends. And two weird things happened. First of all, these were fun to make. They were genuinely fun to make. I expected as much. But secondly, they were even more fun to read. And that was weird. I actually found that I could understand the information a lot more this way and remember it. I had a visual and a point of narrative to remember it all by. And so I lapped this up. I started making more of my revision notes into comic strips. And I still expected to fail, even though I went into that exam for the first time feeling confident, feeling happy with myself, and I walked out feeling the same way. I walked out, I didn't care, because it felt like I remembered this information for the first time, and like I genuinely understood it, and I had enjoyed the process. I had found a way to make exam revision fun for myself. That was enough. But as it went on, I ended up getting an A in that exam. That was the first grade A I had ever gotten in an academic exam, and that proved to me that I could do it. It proved to me that I was capable. That was a good A as well. It was on par with some of the high flyers in my class, better than some of the high flyers in my class. And it wasn't a fluke. I felt I'd understood the information going in, which I hadn't ever felt before, particularly with that subject. So I was kicking myself. If I'd have figured this out sooner, it could have saved me from so much grief, so much difficulty, so I could have opened so many doors for me. I could have gone into school looking forward to it and maybe have been on the upper end of some of the classes. So since then, I've turned my revision technique into something for other kids younger than me to enjoy. I call them Deco Comics. And what they do is that they basically turn educational information into comic strips. They focus on being a comic before education. They focus on being a story. They focus on humor and color and character before they focus on being educational. And what that does is that it engages the pupils first. It engages the reader. It sees entertaining the reader as the most important thing. And through the reader being engaged and entertained, they enjoy the work. We tested these comics on 5 different schools before we made them professionally. And what we found is that kids of all learning types were really enjoying them. Kids without any difficulty at all, or kids who had certain learning struggles, were all enjoying these. They found that they enjoyed the comics because we wanted to make them an entertaining piece. We found that they could retain the information, and we found that they could also understand the information in all the tests we ran with them. And so what was even more exciting was that even different ages, even different learning types, were all responding well to this, including those with dyslexia and autism, and even dyspraxia and ADHD. All people were responding to these because you could have the worst person at the maths class and the top person at the maths class, yet they may both know everything there is to know about the same TV show, or they may both absolutely love and know all the words to the same piece of music or the same computer game. Entertainment has less bias than a certain skill of reading, writing, or listening. So, to round all that up, that journey I've been through, and that thing I'm now doing that I used to help other people like me, and help them see that they can achieve just as well if the information is maybe just presented to them in a different way. You know, maybe learning is never boring, but how it is presented can be. That whole journey has resonated with me, and it's why Mark Twain's quote resonates with me. To find a job you enjoy doing, and you will never work a day in your life. To enjoy the work you do, and you'll never work a day in your life. I've found that the key to performing well has come less in mastering a skill that I'm not good at, and I find it very difficult to be natural at, and it's come through finding something that I am natural at it and enjoying it. It's come through the enjoyment, it's come through motivation that naturally comes with it. And often I find in the school system, they don't adapt that attitude. They adapt an attitude of result. Their whole system is based on examination, on results, on how high a score can you get, and then enjoyment, how much they enjoy the topic is either irrelevant or secondary. They're not opposed to it, they're not opposed to it at all, but they don't focus on it. It's not a priority to them. But if their attitude is something like, do well in your work and you will find enjoyment in it, I find that to be the cart before the horse. What if we could turn that attitude inside out into something that was more, enjoy your work and you will do well in it? I find the latter to be a lot more effective in my personal experience. Thank you very much.